It's the 22nd of May and this is your Solana Daily Debrief, jam-packed full of research, so make sure you watch to the end for all the opportunities you can get amongst. First up, same pump, TardFi buys your coins while you attempt pointless rotations 24 hours after the test pump. This is pretty common amongst many people, especially new people. So what basically will happen is someone will go and grab their SOL, which is just pumped like 10%, and they'll think, okay, now I want to go and buy some BNB, or maybe I want to go and buy some Dogecoin, or then SHIB, Bonk, ETH, and they'll rotate from one to the other. They'll do this enough times, and generally they will lose most of their portfolio, like 90%, within a couple of weeks. So like always, nothing is financial advice. However, all I'm really doing is, with my Solana, is dollar cost average, buying a little bit every single day, and just staking with validator.com. If you look at the timeline enough, you see that's how most people are going to outperform the market. So maybe this advice is for you. Simply sit quietly in a room and watch the numbers go up without over-clicking the buttons. You don't want to be buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling, unless you have a trading account and you know what you're doing. Sol Big Brain says this ETH price action is a nice reminder how much higher Sol is about to go. And I definitely believe this. Also, I still have a huge amount of conviction with Bonk. I don't fade cute doggos. And now 10 million Bonk is a decent amount of money. Like, I don't know what it is, a couple of $100s. So some people won't be able to get to 10 million Bonk easily. Others will be. And then other people have goals like 50 billion Bonk. So my point here is, if you like a token, you can just dollar cost average into it, or you can just try and get to a certain target. And then once you achieve that target, you'll probably have a larger target. If sometimes the numbers I throw out at you are too high for you, then I completely understand. But the good thing with Solana is you can go and buy like 10 cents worth of a token if you wanted to. News from Dupe. We're kicking off the giant unified market initiative. So this is about bringing all the assets and indexing them on Jupiter, allowing all assets to be accessible by millions with any token atomically. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but as an example, owning a bit of gold, some stocks, some bonds. All of this is quite a task, but this is the chain to do it and Dupe is the team to do it. Probably the most important thing of the day is the fact that you can go and vote with your Dupe later on today with deBridge, DiviBet, and ExchangeArt. If you don't know anything about these, you can go and watch my video on how to vote, just going through these here. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but remember, even if, let's say, ExchangeArt wins, DiviBet and deBridge Finance will still gain a huge amount of exposure. Now, there are some things that the projects can do to further increase their votes, like just being very, very good at engaging and giving people the links to the videos so people are aware of what to actually vote for. But this is a marketing thing and not everyone's brilliant at marketing. Either way, I like all three of these protocols and best of luck to them. Just make sure you vote. You'll have 72 hours to do so. If you want a bit of a breakdown, you can have a look at this from Fabiano. I covered this in the Dupe voting video, so make sure you go and watch that actually. But essentially you can see, will there be an airdrop to Dupe voters if they win? What is the token vesting for investors and team? The tokenomics, Discord members, followers, the amount of volume, funding, and other stuff like that. So this is a great piece from Fabiano. Now onto some Zeta Market stuff, because yesterday their community kind of campaign ended. You can still boost up your Zeta score, of course, but these are the token details. So here we can see, so here we've got the release schedule and the incentive emissions. And these are always good to have, especially with these easy graphics. So we can see how many tokens come out at what kind of interval. So as an example, we've got this airdrop, out it comes, and then it's done, right? This stays the same amount. Then these colors are probably a little bit too similar to each other, but all good. Incentives, they kind of continue to play out, in order to essentially use the platform, I guess. Treasury, a little bit initially, and then off it goes. It looks as though from this point, after a couple of years, it's fully there. In fact, everything seems to be after 48 months, completely vested and kind of unlocked and accessible for everyone, which is fine, 4 years, except there's still some incentives actually going out to the community. But here is the token distribution. So contributors, 20%, airdrop 10, which is very decent. Investors get a decent chunk. That's pretty decent. Maybe a little bit higher than I was expecting, but I'll probably need to compare it directly to Drift. And then incentives, 30%, community treasury, 22.5%. You do have to be aware of what community treasury actually means sometimes. So I don't know exactly what this means because it's the community treasury and what are they paying the team from it? I'd have to dive into it. And if you have to dive into this sort of thing, if it's not kind of immediately clear, it's a little bit frustrating, but it's okay. I'd say the tokenomics look okay. Not brilliant, but just okay. Still, in my opinion, it's a good idea to farm this protocol and actually use it because it is a good, and if you end up getting a decent allocation of tokens, you may want to hold them or sell them. Either way, it should be plus EV. For a little bit more of a blurb, we've got here, no TGE unlocks. This is a good thing, meaning that investors and team are not just getting money just straight on the bat for them to then go and dump on. And then 10% initial distribution to power users of Zeta. In other words, the airdrop. It does say that they're looking at doing a vote escrow staking system pioneered by Curve Finance. Curve Finance had kind of good tokenomics for the time. This is 2021, but the actual Curve price hasn't done well. And so overall, I don't think it's something that you should really look at doing. However, the Curve price hasn't done too well. And overall, I'm not really excited by mirroring Curve's tokenomics. Then we've got sustainable incentives. So 30%, almost a third, will be distributed to those traders and LPs on Zeta over the next 90 months. One thing they're trying to do is be more similar to DYDX. And this is a good thing because I think DYDX is probably the biggest kind of exchange in the DEX world. We've got some news from deBridge regarding their token. So introducing DBR. Ideally, all this information should come out before they even go for the vote. However, I'm fine with this new narrative changing because essentially tokenomics are hard and they're trying to get as much feedback from the community. And this was essentially what Sanctum did. And I'm not sure exactly what Sanctum's tokenomics are going to be. However, at the same time, if you vote for them and then they win and they haven't released their tokenomics, then you do have the risk of them messing you over, which they ideally wouldn't do, but they could certainly do it. So the token information, 10 billion supply, 1.8 billion supply on circulating, which is pretty decent. Community and launch, 20%. Well, let's just bring it up, make it a little bit bigger. So community and launch, 20%. However, of course, launch would be a certain amount, and then community would be, of course, incentives for the long run, as far as I'm aware. Validators only get a very small amount, which is a little bit unusual. Strategic partners, deBridge Foundation, ecosystem core contributors. This by itself is not enough information, so let's go through the next few things. So there's going to be a Genesis airdrop for the community, and then there's going to be snapshots of season 1 and then further seasons. For the ecosystem budget, which is 26%, this part is controlled by governance and to be used for activities and incentives that bring value to the deBridge ecosystem. And then they've got the core contributors, which effectively I would say is the team. This is reserved for core contributors who have worked for years across engineering infrastructure, business development, security, marketing, and more to get deep to where it is today. This may also include some advisors and things like that. And then there's the deBridge Foundation. So 15% goes there. This is for growing the liquidity of DBR and leading ecosystem growth initiatives. So with this, they don't have to have any governance votes. They can just decide, like the Solana Foundation, we're going to allocate tokens to this market maker for this reason, or we're going to incentivize content as an example. And then strategic partners. So strategic partners, including angels, founders, and funds who support deBridge from day one, and those who joined us later to support the long-term success of the deBridge ecosystem. So essentially, you can think that the VCs are getting 17%. And then the validators, they get 2%, which I feel is a little bit low, and maybe that's an issue in the future. We'll have to see how it goes. By validators, I don't mean Solana validators. I mean there are actual deBridge validators on the network. Either way, tokenomics, it's not a science, it's an art. These look pretty good, but I need to do more research in the future just to try and work out what I think is the best actual tokenomics. Now later today at 5:30 p.m. UTC, we have the third UpRock call as they start to approach their TGE. They will announce the token generation event in this, and I will be the host of this, so come and watch my face as we go through this. So one really cool thing about this is they're really working on a fair distribution roadmap, and I've chatted with them before this, and in my opinion, they really get the fact that they need to eat, and also the community needs to eat. So I kind of reference quite often the dupe effect, as in make the community really, really kind of just crazy for you, and reward them, and they will help grow the pie. So that's what I believe UpRock is trying to do, and I'm still not sure if other dApps such as Drift, Zeta, deBridge, ExchangeOut, and Divi, and Sharky, and Zeus, etc. I'm not sure if they've truly got that mission yet, but I know they're starting to see it more. I do think, as I said, UpRock has that mission. Now in this call, there's going to be a few special guests. One in particular, Ben Chow from Meteora. He's going to talk about DLMMs, providing liquidity, and that's the stuff that I'm really interested in. So if you can make it, make sure you make it 5:30 p.m. UTC. There's also a chance to win a dPioneers Cats NFT. And by the way, there will be 3 given away. And if we go to dPioneers main site here, or main Twitter, scrolling down a little bit, you can see if you go and pre-order a dPioneers NFT and go and secure it right now, May 22nd, before midnight or 11:59 UTC, then you're going to get some extra UPT as well. So 500,000 will be distributed to anyone that goes and does this. Personally, I have about 6. I probably want to have about 10. And all I can do at the moment is just go and lock one soul. I managed to buy some in group 1, group 2, and group 3. And then I got a little bit busy and now I have to go into group 4. However, if you have a Saga, I think this is still correct. But if you go and use your Saga Genesis token, go and lock up one soul, you'll only have to pay an additional 1 soul. You do not have to pay the extra fee of 0.75 soul on mint date. I'm pretty sure that information is still accurate. We've got big news from Sanctum. They've acquired Bitski. I've never heard of Bitski, but clearly it's a wallet with a good UI. And Sanctum is definitely growing. So congratulations to them. However, I'm going to start to look at the other wallets as well and cover them more, as I have a new thesis forming in my mind that maybe a multi-chain wallet isn't the best way to do things. Right now in this cycle, it might be better to have like a specific Solana wallet, a specific Ethereum wallet, and a specific, say, Ordinals wallet. Whales Market have launched whales.meme. You can go and launch tokens with gamified liquidity, bootstrapping capabilities in just a few seconds. I haven't checked it out in detail, but essentially you can go and connect your wallet and do this here. I don't know what it costs, and I'm guessing this is going to be a similar thing to pump.fun. Bonk is burning, so the supply of Bonk keeps on getting burnt and burnt and burnt, and we can just go and check it out right here. And here we can see 318 billion Bonk has been burnt. Also, if you click on this down here, you can go and earn some soul. It's not a crazy amount of soul. However, this could work for someone that's just starting in the ecosystem and maybe they've got like $20 or $30 and they're just trying to build up. To actually qualify for the reward, you must swap at least 0.1 soul for Bonk soul. So you're going to need almost $19 worth of soul. And then after the swap, you'll get just under $4 worth of soul. Nyan Heroes had their launch yesterday, but you couldn't go and claim your meow for Nyan. This is because there was an issue with Streamflow. It's now working, and I'm not close in this community, but basically, apparently there's a decent amount of FUD. This post kind of covers a little bit of it. However, I think the FUD is essentially targeted at maybe VCs dumping because there was 5% unlocked on TGE. And at the end, Oscar says a few points. Is the FUD less than block games experience? Yes. Then the next point, can the team still recruit from this by compensating ones who feel disadvantaged? Yes. Should they compensate the farmers? Yes. I don't think this is necessary. Farmers are just there to extract liquidity. This is just one person's view, and don't underestimate the power of the FUD spreading. Not worried about this with my limited take. I don't think the farmers should be compensated in any way. And as for the price, it's fine. It's relatively fine. I'm not overly bullish or bearish, but I would say it's fine. Now, if we actually have a look at the token on chain, because this is where we play on the blockchain itself. Now, if we have a look at the actual token on chain, because that's normally where we play. However, if you do want to get some Nyan tokens, you can go and watch my video on how to get the token, and you can go and take some USDT, put it into Bybit, and then you're going to accrue some of these tokens over the next 6 or so days. Anyway, it's a fairly stable release, to be honest. So because it's fairly stable, holders are growing, fully diluted market cap relatively low for a game like this, and the volume is not too bad. It might be a good idea, if you're familiar with this, to go and add a little bit of a liquidity pool. So if we go to Meteora, we'll actually have to click Show Unknown Token in order to see Nyan Sol, USDT, and USDC. The amount of TVL here is clearly not worth it. That's of course not worth jumping into. There's actually very little TVL here at all. You could go and put in a little bit into each of these pools. Nothing too crazy, but I might do some and then check on it tomorrow. Or if you wanted to pair it with Sol, you could go and throw it into, say, this pool, and it has a 2% fee, which is quite high, but people are still buying it, so it is making some decent returns. This is where the majority of the volume is, of course. And then if this does scare you a little bit, you can go and use Orca if you prefer. So if we go back to Bird Eye, scrolling down, we can see the majority of the liquidity is on Orca. A quick update on greed. At present, you cannot go and unstake your greed or move it to a different validator. However, when that comes, I'll let you know. And as for this, because it was a little bit of trickery and people weren't happy with me actually thinking this would be an actual meme coin, I'm not going to cover it too much in detail. All I'll let you know is that this is linked below. And for more backstory, it's a 16-minute read. You can go and read this if you like. But now the actual validator, it has over 700,000 Sol, so I was not expecting that. And finally, the actionables. So today we've got the dupe planetary call at 3:30 p.m. UTC. Remember, you can claim a POAP at the end if you're staking, I think, 50 actual dupe. You have to fill out a form and you do have to be fast. Next, join the UpRock call at 5:30 p.m. UTC for the UPT token launch details. We're also going to be discussing the tokenomics, and I'll be making sure that everyone understands that. There's a dupe LFG 3 vote. This begins at 5 p.m. UTC. It goes for 72 hours. Make sure you vote. Remember, active staking rewards mean that you can vote for whoever you like. It doesn't matter if they win or don't win. You'll get the same amount of rewards from the actual active staking rewards. Next, use deBridge Finance just for the point system and just to gain some exposure to other ecosystems. If you want to go and play on them, it's up to you. Also, claim your Nyan for Meow points if you're actually part of that. And as always, DCA into Sol and stake it with validator.com. That's all. Catch you in the next video.